Hey, what's going on guys, YST here, welcome back to another raid video. Today we've got a crazy one for you. So it's a team that could do 100 million on Ultra Nightmare using the 2-1 ratio, and it's got no unkillable and no poisoners, and it also works on all difficulties, alright? So towards the end of the video, I will showcase how to do the other difficulties, but right now we're going to cover the Ultra Nightmare and how that works. But before we get started here, I want to give a big shout out to Wolf for letting me showcase this for you guys today. And in the description below, I will link his Twitch and his YouTube, so go show some love to him there. And also guys, I don't really plug my Discord, but I have created one, so if you want to join that, feel free to do that also. So let's get into it. So champion number 1, we have got Mr. Salad. So let's see exactly what he does. Attacks one enemy, heals his champion by 30% of the damage inflicted, will then attack enemies under leech debuffs. Then on the A2 here, we've got places a 30% increased speed and crit damage buff on all allies. So we're increasing our speed to reach the 2-1 ratio, and we're increasing our crit damage to get more damage output. So on the A3 here, attacks all enemies, chance of stealing buffs, heal reductions. So these two we don't really need, but he places a 15% continuous heal buff on this champion for 3 turns, and the damage increases by 50% on targets that have no buffs, alright? Aura, we don't really need. And let's get into the gear here, the juicy bit. So, we've got a Star Wars set. Most of his champions are using this, but 2 of them aren't. But we'll get into those in a bit. So we've got speed and crit rate. Speed, accuracy and crit damage. Speed here with some defense percent. Defense here with some speed. And crit rate here with some speed and attack and HP percent. Then on the banner, we've got a defense with a triple roll speed and a nice glyph roll there. Crit damage. And defense here, and the overall stats we're rocking with is a 33,000 HP, 3,400 attack, 3,300 defense, 251 speed. I'm gonna get into something very soon once we get into Valkyrie. Then we got 101% crit rate, 147% crit damage, and an accuracy just to make sure he can land his debuffs, alright? So we want to get that leech up consistently. And on his masteries, we've got the offense tree going down to War Master, then on the defense going down to Retribution for the counter attacks and deterrence, alright? And let's get into Valkyrie. Alright, so as you can see here, Valkyrie does not have a Star Wars set. He is working on that, but trying to get the optimal speeds, which is a 251 speed also, it is extremely hard to do, especially when you're gearing multiple champions like this. But that is something he's working on, so just bear that in mind. If you have the gear, we do recommend putting a Star Wars gear here, alright? So on skills, attacks one enemy 2 times, decreases the turn meter. This doesn't really affect on the clan boss, but it's good for War Master procs because you get 2 hits. Then on the A2, attacks all enemies, places a shield buff on all allies for 3 turns, and a counter attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. The value of this shield and the damage inflicted are proportional to this champion's defense. So you want to make sure this champion has the highest defense possible. Whatever you have, the best gear you have, get it on your Valkyrie, it'll work out great, alright? So yeah, as I said before, double speed set, and we've got speed and crit rate, speed, crit rate, speed here, defense percent and crit damage, defense with a triple roll speed here, defense. So we're just stacking defense as much as we can. Defense here, some speed. Defense on the amulet and defense here as well. And the overall stats we're rocking with is a 40,000 HP, 1,300 attack, 7,000 defense. He's working on trying to increase this, believe it or not. But if you can get here, it'll work out great for you. And 251 speed here again. You may be thinking, why has he put 251 on Valkyrie and 251 on Mashalled? Aren't they going to overlap? The answer is no, because of decimal speeds, which I'll show you right now. So I've just posted it here, it will be around here. So basically decimal speeds of speed sets and Law of Steel masteries, it can affect the decimal speed. So just make sure you go into Deadwood's calculator if you can when you're building this composition. And just make sure that Mashalled is always going before Valkyrie, because that's very important. So make sure you check that before you get into a run here, so you're not thinking, why is it not working for me? So screenshot that, do what you have to do, just bear that in mind. Decimal speeds could be the problem when you're trying to make this comp. So let's carry this on here. 48% crit rate, 116% crit damage. And the masteries here, we've got the offense tree going down to War Master, and we've got the support tree for the Law of Steel and the shield breaker here, alright? And let's get into the next champion. So Mr. Brago, how many of you guys fused him? He's actually a solid champion. You're going to see that in the run today anyway. But Star Wars set, I'm not going to get into that straight away. Let's go into the skills first. Attacks one enemy, 20% chance of decreasing the duration of all buffs by 1 turn. It's okay for affinity clan bosses, but it's not vital in this comp. Increased defense on all allies for 3 turns, then attacks one enemy. Has a 75% chance of placing a stun. Well, this stun bit doesn't really matter because you can't stun a clan boss, right? So increased defense on all allies for 3 turns is what we're using him for. it's a consistent increased defense. So with him and Altan, who I'll get into next, they go back to back. They make sure the increased defense is up 100% of the time, so you're not in jeopardy in dying. So guys, just make sure if you're going to book Brago, obviously you can't choose where your books go, but if you manage to get lucky and book this one out, you don't really need to book the other abilities, okay? So aim for this one because you do want to get the cooldown, so it's a free turn cooldown. So you want him to always put that up. And then here we've got a passive with increased defense on all allies by 10% of this champion's defense. So if he's got a high defense, what happens? Everyone gets a 10% boost on top of the increased defense, on top of the big shields. It's really hard for the clan boss to get through that. Then on the set here, we've got stalwart, so we've got speed and crit rate, speed and defense, speed, crit damage, and we've got speed on the boots, defense with speed rolls, crit rate here. Then we've got defense, big chunk of a defense there. Then we've got accuracy to try land the debuffs with a crit damage. Defense with a solid defense there as well. Damn, why doesn't the spider give me anything like this? But yeah, overall stats here, we've got 34,000 HP, 1,800 attack, 5,790 defense, 210 speed, 107% crit rate, 131% crit damage, and the accuracy isn't the best. But if you do have problems with getting decreased attack on with your other champion that's doing decreased attack like an Altan, possibly push this up a little bit, but if you don't need it and you've got another one, it shouldn't be a problem. And the masteries here, we've got offense going down to War Master and the normal defense tree going down to Retribution, alright? Alright, so that's him covered, and let's go into the next champion. So we've got Altan next here. So what does he do? A1, decreased attack, solid. We always want to get that out with this comp. Attacks one enemy, places a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns, and then places a shield if he kills an enemy, but we're not killing anyone, so it's just for the increased defense here. So him and Iron Brago, like I said before, will go back to back. Make sure that the increased defense is always up so you're not dying. And then we got a nice aura here of increased defense in all battles by 33%, which is bumping up all those crazy defenses to a high number. And also he is going to be the stun target here, which we'll get into once we get into the run. And the artifacts, we've got a stalwart and speed again. So we've got accuracy and speed and defense, speed, crit rate, defense, stacking defense as always with a speed boot, defense, crit rate, accuracy here with some speed rolls, crit damage, defense percent here, and the overall stats that we're rocking with here is a 40,000 HP, close to a 5,000 defense, 236 speed on Altan, 100% crit rate, nice crit damage, and a solid accuracy to land the debuffs because we want to get that decreased attack out as much as possible. Alright, so that's Altan done, and let's get into the final champion, which is this beautiful little lizard here, Rhazin Scarhide. We all probably have him by now, but he's rocking a savage set and a speed set. You're probably looking like this like, how the heck did you do that? We'll get into it. So triple hit on the A1, decreased defense and weaken on the A2. This doesn't proc on the clan boss anymore, and we don't need the aura. So we've got a speed set with crit rate, and then we've got savage set with crit rate, crit damage, crit rate here, speed boots with accuracy, defense percent, HP percent rolls, crit damage on the gloves because the Rhazin does hit extremely hard, especially under extreme defense buffs, and crit rate here with some speed. Then we've got accuracy banner with speed and a nice little glyph there, got lucky there, crit damage with resistance and accuracy, and defense. And on the overall stats here, we've got 41,000 HP, 1,900 attack, 4,000 defense, 198 speed on Rhazin, so he's the slowest out of all of the bunch, 100% crit rate, 207% crit damage, and a perfect accuracy to land all of those decreased defense and weakens. So that's all of the champions covered here. I've made a timeline on my YouTube channel, so if you want to just go to a specific champion in the future for reference, you can easily do that. But towards the end of the video, I'll show you the Nightmare and the Brutal Damage and how you can make those work. But right now, let's get into the Ultra Nightmare and let's try to get 100 million. So let's get into it. Alright, so we got Altan, Rhazin, Iron Brago, Valkyrie and Mashalled, and let's get that 100 million. So the setup here is quite easy. So we do an A1 with Mashalled, then A2 with Valkyrie, so that's the shield one. Then an A2 on Altan, increased defense. Then an A2 on Brago. And then we get into the hardest part. Click auto and enjoy. So this composition here does fall into sync at around turn 8, but you can click auto after turn 1, after that little small setup there. And I'll let you guys watch the rest of the run, reach that 100 million, and towards the end, like I said before, we're going to go over the Nightmare and the Brutal Damage and how to make those work. So enjoy, and I'll come to you towards the end. So there we have it guys, 103 million. So we got 20 million on Altan, 23 million on Brago, 31 on Rhazin, Valkyrie with 13 million and 15 million on Mashalled. 103.5 million, no poisons, no unkillable. Absolutely insane to watch. So guys, here's the nightmare damage. So we hit 155 million. Insane. And the way to make this work is exactly the same as Ultra Nightmare. You just follow the same setup and it'll work here. And here's the damage for Brutal, and the setup will be right next to it. And following it here, we've got the hard difficulty, and here's the setup for that one. And guys, in the description I will link all of the turn orders, so if you're finding it hard to screenshot it here, I'll also link it in there. And guys, just bear in mind here, on Spirit Affinity you may have a little bit of problems due to decreased speed, but you can just summon a Doom Priest for those kind of scenarios. But for other affinities you should be perfectly fine with this. Guys, that's going to be all for the video. I've got the Great Hall behind me just in case you're intrigued. Might want to get your sunglasses out, it's extremely gold. But yeah, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed these kind of videos. It does really mean a lot and I appreciate everyone that supports me. And also a big thank you to Wolf again. Make sure you show some love to him in the description where his Twitch and his YouTube links will be. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.